This is Haresh Malkani. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at CESMII, the Smart Manufacturing Institute. What we're going to be talking about in this session is how CESMII is helping manufacturers solve some of their greatest challenges. And as you've heard during the previous session, CESMII is all about smart manufacturing. So we are trying to solve these challenges by utilizing smart manufacturing technologies and education. Now, when you talk about challenges in smart manufacturing, it's important to know that smart manufacturing is made up of several building blocks. So if you look at this diagram, the first part here on the left-hand side at the bottom is how you're actually making an assessment on how your process is doing, what's actually going on. You're employing sensors, you're capturing data from those sensors and making a decision on how the process should be controlled. The next block here is around contextualization. So once you get the data from the sensors, it's important to know what context it has, and that's very, very important to make sure that the data that you're getting is actually becoming information that is actionable. And there are challenges associated with each of these steps. There might be challenges in not being able to have sensors that are able to provide data for some challenging environments or harsh environments. There might be challenges in how you contextualize the data and how you maintain the contextualization through the process. Then you come to the point where you start doing some analytics on that information. There might be challenges there because of the complexity of the data, because of the nature of the data that's mismatched between product and process and equipment. How do you actually do some multivariate analysis, for example? There might be challenges there. There might be challenges in doing the predictive modeling. So once you've actually gathered information to tell you why things are happening the way they're happening, now you need to be able to predict when they're going to happen next and what you can do to prevent it from happening or repeat the same event or the same outcome. And then in the end, what you're trying to do is take all of this information, all of this intelligence and insights, and make an impact on how you control your process. So there might be challenges in how you control the process. So challenges exist everywhere. Now, if you look at all the information that is being transmitted into these systems, through these systems, into these building blocks, you might also have challenges in, are you able to actually make these smart manufacturing solutions with what we're calling first principles? Are they interoperable? Can you swap things in and out, or are you actually locked down with a particular vendor? Can you make them secure? Can you make them scalable? Of course, you need to have this in real time. How real time can you make it? How resilient is your smart manufacturing solution? What are the proactive things that the solution does in terms of being able to predict and control? And then in the long term, is it all sustainable, over a long period of time as you deploy these solutions? So challenges exist in those fields. And then above all, you also have challenges in how you train your workforce, how you create the talent that you need in order to implement and sustain these smart manufacturing solutions. So our work at the Institute is to address many of these challenges. Now, if you look at how we are doing that, is that in the previous sessions we've talked about our roadmap, but the roadmap actually has elements or pillars that address each of these challenge areas. So if you look at the right-hand side, you have a block that says SM enabling technologies, and this is where you actually take the fundamental building blocks and say, what are the challenges that exist in those blocks? And let's resolve it. And then you'll see some activities and flow swim lanes that actually address that. On the innovation platform, how do you make it resilient? How do you make it interoperable? So there are activities around that. Right, so we talked about the first principles of smart manufacturing. Most of them are addressed in this area. Then challenges in education and training. How do you get your workforce to become adept and educated and trained on smart manufacturing technology so that they are the ones who will actually create the solutions, they are the ones who will deploy the solutions and then sustain them through your manufacturing organization. And then challenges in the ecosystem. So what is it that you need to be doing on your own? What are the things that you can do with an institute like ours? What can you do with our network of networks, the smart manufacturing innovation centers that are around the country? What are the challenges there and how we address them? And in the end, as a manufacturer, you might have the same types of goals that we do have as an institute. So think about improvement in energy efficiency, the time to deploy the smart manufacturing solutions, significant adoption in your enterprises, in your companies, and then, of course, improvement in energy productivity in your organizations. So what we've done is we've created roadmap pillars that actually go after each of these challenges. Now, the way we actually address these challenges are through co-funded projects, and what I'm describing here are the different types of projects that we fund and our members execute on. So if you look at the first one here, that's the projects around enabling R&D challenges. So if you had a specific technology gap, for example, in sensing or in control or in analytics, we have projects that are slightly longer term. These are more R&D focused projects that take anywhere from 12 to 18 months, and these are addressing those challenges and closing those gaps. Then there are innovation projects, which are a combination of utilizing smart manufacturing technologies that we've already developed, particularly through our platform, and then solving a specific manufacturing problem or a use case. And then while you're doing that, you're also developing components that will end up in our platform, in our marketplace, so that others can use it. So these are all innovation projects. These tend to be more shorter term, about 6 months or so that you can actually derive value very quickly out of them. Then we have the platform capability projects. This is where we are looking at the specific capabilities of our platform and how to enhance those capabilities. So we are developing those for the core pieces of the platform, the tools and the methods and the marketplace. Then we have application projects. These are the ones where there's not any new development per se, but it's basically demonstration and use of the technologies that we create within the institute. And these are also all primarily used for demonstration, but then also they help identify what are the gaps in our technologies that would help the specific manufacturer or a set of manufacturers solve their problem. And then finally, a fairly important piece is the education and workforce development project. So again, as you'll know, that technology is not sufficient to have a successful smart manufacturing solution deployed in your manufacturing operations. It's actually the talent and the workforce that makes it happen. So developing the content that is required for training, doing the certification, and making all that content available for our members. So these are the types of projects that we have in our institute and that we've launched. Now, if you look at a smart manufacturing solution life cycle, it'll go from designing that solution all the way up to sustaining that solution and everything in between here, like develop the solution, integrate the solution, deploy it, and proliferate in your organization. And what we are doing is we've created these projects to make sure that we're addressing every single step in that life cycle. So if you look at the enabling R&D projects, they're more centered towards the development of the solution and integration of solutions, and perhaps early deployment and proof of concept type of applications. The SM innovation projects are slightly later term, meaning that you've done most of the development, you're sort of doing most of it in the integration and deployment area, and then begin to proliferate. So you create these solutions in a fashion that's easily replicated across your organization. Then you have the platform capability project. This is, again, it helps tremendously in how you develop the solution and integrate it, and how you deploy it so that it becomes more scalable and more sustainable. We have the application projects, which are primarily about the deployment and proliferation, and then how you sustain. So these are all examples of how solutions are demonstrated and then used by our manufacturers to take it forward in their organization. And then education and workforce development projects are, of course, across the life cycle, because you may be training and upskilling people in any of these areas. There might be engineers and scientists who are at this end. There might be people who are actually down on the shop floor engineering the solution out, deploying it and sustaining it as the manufacturer needs it. So again, that cuts across the whole life cycle. Now, so far, what we've done is we are in our fourth year as a budget period, and we've launched several requests for proposals. And these proposals basically invite proposals from our teams through our ecosystem to create solutions and demonstrate them. And so in our first RFP, we had about $16 million worth of investment that was made. There were a total of 10 projects that were launched, and these are more of the long-term projects. So you can see the early need for launching them. In our second RFP, which was in 2019 and 2020, we had about $12 million worth of investment, and we had several projects here that cut across the 4 different pillars. We had 8 in enabling R&D, 4 in workforce development, 3 for platform capability, and 16, as you can see here, a large amount of projects in the innovation area. In addition to these, the platform capability projects, we actually have a separate investment method for specifying very sort of surgical ways of developing capabilities of the platform, and those are not included here, obviously. And our most recent RFP, which was launched in June of this year, has a $5 million investment, again cutting across all 4 areas. And these are basically proposals that we are going through the evaluation for currently, and the selections are in progress. So by November timeframe, we will have some of those selected. So as you can see here, we've got about 41 projects in flight, and then we are expecting another 15 to come in through our RFP3 process. Now, so how do we deliver the value through these projects? So if you look at how we laid this out, is that our roadmap basically defines what are the specific focus areas that we need to go after, and this has input from our members, it has input from our technical committees and workforce development committees, and just the general ecosystem. And that defines what our deliverables are as an institute in each of these pillars. And then we launch these 5 different types of projects that I talked about. Now, once these projects come to a completion, the outcomes of these projects have the element of value that goes into 2 different parallel paths, right? So the one path is that the technologies and the solutions that are created by our teams in this project, of course, they directly benefit the project participants. But in addition to that, the technologies and solutions that are developed here could be licensed to our other members that have either similar processes or similar needs. The second pathway, which is actually a more prolific pathway that we are anticipating, is that the outcomes of the project will be captured in SM profiles and SM applications. And you'll hear a little bit more in detail in the later sessions about what these are. But the profiles are basically information models that characterize a process or a piece of equipment and make your solutions more repeatable and scalable. And the SM apps are basically the applications that consume the data that is captured through the profiles. And these then become part of the CESMII marketplace. And from the marketplace, our CESMII members can then leverage those pieces and build the smart manufacturing solutions for their use cases. So that's the second part here. In fact, that actually becomes a primary part. So given the different types of projects, we will have a different timeline for when these occur. But the goal is, in the end, we need to be able to help not only the manufacturers and the team members who are participating in the project, but more importantly, how we can make an impact on a larger ecosystem with many more manufacturers who want to use similar solutions and scale them out. Now, this doesn't happen on its own, obviously, and there are many teams that are involved, and I'd like to just call out the organizations that are supporting here. So UCLA, where CESMII calls its home, is our supporting partner. They have a tremendous amount of resources available for us that are supporting CESMII as an institute. We have the Department of Energy, who's co-funding our institute, and tremendous amount of guidance and support that we receive from the DOE team to be able to launch and execute some of these projects. And of course, most importantly, we have the CESMII members and partners who are executing the projects on our behalf. And I would like to call out the specific teams that are helping from each of these organizations, including CESMII. And as you see the number of projects that we've launched and we are executing today, a tremendous amount of work has gone in from our PMO team, which I want to especially call out for this particular session. So what you'll hear later on is some stories, some success stories from 6 team members. And we will first focus on the technology side of things, and we will have speakers from ArcelorMittal, Argos Cement, Honeywell Aerospace, Tyson Foods, and our partners Atology, who will be talking about a project that they've done for a small manufacturer, South Bay Solutions. We will also have a speaker from Penn State who will be speaking in a different session for workforce development. And these are all great success stories and only a small sample of what we have in our portfolio. So whether you're a small manufacturer who's just beginning your journey in smart manufacturing, or you're a seasoned manufacturer who has matured quite a bit in your smart manufacturing journey, make sure that you include CESMII in your roadmap, because we are here to help you, and we've got some great examples that you'll be seeing in the upcoming presentations on how we have helped other manufacturers. Thank you.